Join us on this exploration as we unveil the nuanced signals that suggest an INFJ might not be feeling the connection. 1. Reserved demeanor. One of the first signs that an INFJ may not be keen on a person is a reserved demeanor. If they keep a certain distance and maintain a more guarded presence, it could be an indication that the connection isn't resonating positively. 2. Limited eye contact. INFJs are typically attentive listeners, but when they consciously limit eye contact, it might signal discomfort or disinterest. Watch for subtle cues in their gaze that suggest they're not fully engaged in the interaction. 3. Surface-level conversations. If the conversation tends to stay at a surface level, with minimal sharing of personal thoughts and feelings, it could signify that the INFJ is not comfortable delving deeper with the individual. 4. Subtle avoidance. An INFJ may subtly avoid spending extended time with someone they don't particularly like. This can manifest as finding reasons to be elsewhere or keeping interactions brief and to the point. 5. Lack of emotional engagement. Given the INFJ's empathic nature, a lack of emotional engagement in a conversation may be indicative of their disinterest. If they seem detached or indifferent to the emotional tone, it's a potential red flag. 6. Politeness without warmth. INFJs are generally polite individuals, but when they don't feel a connection, their politeness may lack the warmth and genuine enthusiasm they typically exhibit in more meaningful interactions. 7. Limited initiatives. An INFJ who isn't keen on building a connection may refrain from taking initiatives. This can be observed in their reluctance to suggest plans, initiate conversations, or engage in activities that involve the individual they're not particularly fond of. 8. Unenthusiastic body language. Body language often speaks volumes. An INFJ's body language may become unenthusiastic, with closed postures, minimal gestures, and an overall lack of animated expressions when interacting with someone they don't connect with. 9. Delayed responses. A subtle delay in responses, whether in person or through communication channels, can be a signal. If an INFJ takes longer than usual to respond, it might indicate they are not eager to engage in the conversation. 10. Fleeting smiles. While INFJs are known for their warm smiles, a lack of genuine, lasting smiles might suggest a lack of genuine enjoyment in the presence of the individual. 11. Limited personal sharing. INFJs are selective about whom they open up to. If they refrain from sharing personal details or experiences, it may suggest a lack of comfort or connection with the person in question. 12. Inconsistent availability. An INFJ who doesn't particularly like someone might be inconsistently available. They may selectively choose when to be present, indicating that their time and energy are reserved for those they feel a deeper connection with. 13. Expressed boundaries. If an INFJ explicitly communicates boundaries or appears uncomfortable with certain topics or behaviors, it's a clear sign that the connection is not fostering positive vibes. 14. Tendency to cancel plans. Repeatedly canceling plans or finding reasons to avoid commitments can be an indication that the INFJ isn't invested in spending time with a particular individual. 15. Neutral tone. Pay attention to the tone of an INFJ's voice. If it lacks the usual warmth and enthusiasm, it might be a subtle signal that the connection is not resonating positively. 16. Limited mirroring. INFJs often naturally mirror the emotions of those around them. If there's limited mirroring in the presence of a specific individual, it may suggest that the INFJ is not emotionally attuned to them. 17. Lack of initiating contact. While INFJs appreciate meaningful connections, a lack of initiation in contact, whether through messages or calls, can be indicative of their priorities in interpersonal relationships. 18. Neutral or formal language. The language an INFJ uses can be telling. If their communication becomes more neutral or formal, lacking the usual warmth and personal touch, it may signal a shift in their feelings towards the individual. 19. Limited effort in plans. When making plans, an INFJ who doesn't particularly like someone might invest minimal effort. This could be evident in the choice of activities, the planning process, or the overall enthusiasm about the proposed plans. 20. Increased alone time. If an INFJ consciously seeks more alone time or solitude, it could be a way for them to distance themselves from individuals they don't feel a positive connection with. 21. Tendency to disengage. During interactions, an INFJ may display a tendency to disengage mentally or emotionally. This can manifest as distracted behavior, a lack of active listening, or a general sense of being elsewhere mentally. 22. Muted enthusiasm. An INFJ's enthusiasm can be contagious, but when they don't particularly like someone, their overall level of enthusiasm may become noticeably muted. 23. Neutral feedback. When an INFJ refrains from providing feedback or offering their thoughts on a topic, it may suggest a lack of interest in engaging with the individual in a more meaningful way. 24. Unresponsive to shared interests. If an INFJ doesn't respond positively to shared interests or passions, it could be an indication that the connection lacks the resonance needed to foster genuine enthusiasm. 25. Limited effort in conflict resolution. In situations of conflict, an INFJ who isn't invested in the relationship may display limited effort in resolving issues. This could involve a reluctance to engage in constructive conversations or a lack of interest in finding common ground. 26. Avoidance of emotional depth. INFJs thrive in emotionally rich connections, but when they don't particularly like someone, they may actively avoid engaging in emotionally deep conversations or exploring vulnerable aspects of their own or the other person's experiences. 27. Minimal validation. A reduction in validating statements or expressions of affirmation may indicate that the INFJ isn't actively seeking to strengthen the connection with the individual. 28. Subdued enthusiasm for shared success. When an individual they don't particularly like achieves success, an INFJ may display subdued enthusiasm or a lack of genuine celebration for the achievements. 29. Lack of genuine curiosity. INFJs are naturally curious individuals, but when they're not particularly fond of someone, their curiosity may be noticeably absent. This could be reflected in a lack of interest in the person's life, experiences, or perspectives. 30. Decreased emotional investment. An INFJ who doesn't feel a positive connection may consciously decrease their emotional investment in the relationship. This can be observed in a reduction in the emotional energy they contribute to interactions. 31. Resistance to collaboration. In collaborative efforts, an INFJ might resist actively participating or contributing ideas if they're not fully invested in the relationship. 32. Minimal effort in resolution. When faced with conflicts, an INFJ who doesn't particularly like someone may display minimal effort in seeking resolution. This can manifest as a lack of initiative in addressing issues or finding common ground. 33. Limited shared experiences. An INFJ who isn't invested in a connection may actively avoid or limit shared experiences. This could involve declining invitations, avoiding joint activities, or not actively participating in group settings. 34. Subtle body language cues. Pay attention to subtle body language cues. An INFJ's body language may provide clues such as closed postures, minimal gestures, or a lack of physical proximity, indicating their feelings toward the individual. As we conclude our exploration into the 34 signs that an INFJ might not particularly like someone, it's essential to approach these signals with sensitivity and openness to communication. People and relationships are complex, and these signs are not definitive proof of an INFJ's feelings. They merely serve as nuanced observations to encourage deeper understanding. If you're uncertain about an INFJ's feelings, consider engaging in open and honest communication to foster a more transparent and authentic connection. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below, and stay tuned for more insights into the intricate world of personality right here on Psych IQ.